And basically the first lecture is dedicated to introducing myself, introducing yourself. And I also would like to give you, with much care, details on the course, the exam, etc. Everything that you may need to have a good experience with me and to take your exam with happiness and positivity. So, first of all, I make reference to give you these details to the web page, the main web page of this course, of this subject, which you can find on my website. My website is, you can see the web address up there, it's www.albertomontanari.it, and here the www is missing, but anyway, here it is. And the website is, one second. The website is dedicated to my activity in the academy in general, so there is a part of research and a part of teaching. And if you scroll down on teaching, you get the tutorials here, the web page of the course, Tutorials of Sustainable Design of Water Resource System 2019. Pay attention, because if you scroll down, there are also the tutorials for the past year, which are similar, and you may find them useful to have a look at them, because you have an anticipation of what will come next. Because I am here, as you will see, I am providing tutorials, but I am adding them as we move on. It's not yet complete with all the materials that you need to get to the end of the course. The reason is that, you know, I adapt usually. I adapt to students and to your speed and to your questions, etc. So if you want to get a glance, to get an idea of what the course will be, all the subjects, as I said, scroll down, you find the page of last year. But for now, it's important, and keep in mind that they are not necessarily the same, the content of the course, because as I said, I am adapting. Okay, let's click on this, on 2019. And here you will see some information, and this is the web page that I follow to introduce the course to you. So I think you don't need to take notes. Of course, when I'm speaking, I'm giving a little bit more of details, but not essentially what you need is here, in my intention. And let's keep the purpose of the course, because the learning outcome, I think it's better during the lecture to discuss it later. First of all, and I would like to start with the tutorial documents. So, I am providing tutorials for everything I say, and they are provided in the form of web pages, links, and prepared by me. The reason why I decide to use web pages instead of PDFs or PowerPoint presentation, etc., is that by using the web pages, I can, first of all, provide a very open information. My aim is to teach through open access information. I would like that the material is accessible to everybody on the web. The reason why I would like to do that is that besides a good feeling that I have for open access, my intention is to keep this material available forever for you, and also to evolve it, so that in any time during your professional life, if you need to go back to questions related to water resource systems, sustainability, you can click on these that will remain available, unless I die. Sometimes it happens that people die. And also, as I said, they will be evolving. And also, as I mentioned to you, inside the web page I can use the link. And the link is very useful because I think the web is a very important source of information, but the material is copyrighted on the web. So I cannot just take the material from the web and copy it in my web pages. But I can use links. So I think indeed the opportunity for you to follow through links my selection of interesting material on the web, it's a valuable opportunity. Of course, there are a bit of disadvantages with the web pages. If you want to print them out, you can do it. It's not so handy as with a PDF. With a PDF, it's very easy. with the web pages, you have to print it on a PDF maybe, or send them to the printer, but you know, if you send them to the printer, you will see it's not really good looking as a print out from a PDF. But I think it's a downside that you can manage. Okay, so basically you click on there, and let me give you an example, and you find a web page that you can use for preparing your exam and for learning what you need to learn. I'm not using the web page to teach because it's difficult to teach by using this kind of material. So I put not in any web page, but in most of them, I put a PowerPoint that is available for download. I put a link to a PowerPoint. I use the PowerPoint to teach, as I said. I suggest you not to use it for studying because it's a synthesis and it's not complete. The web pages are not very long and are detailed. So my suggestion is, okay, look at the PowerPoint when you attend the lectures because it's useful also for me. I also would like to use the Blackboard, but it's a problem with these rooms because I can't use both screen and Blackboard. So basically at the end of the story I use more the PowerPoint with respect to the Blackboard. Sometimes I will use also the Blackboard. And again, the PowerPoint is just to attend the lectures, or if you want at the end of your preparation for the exam, you want to have a quick reloading of what I did. Of course, the PowerPoint is maybe useful, and the important information that I would like to give to you already now is basically everything I say is here. So I don't think you need to take notes. And everything I ask is here. I'm not asking questions beyond the content of the web page. It's quite the opposite. There is a bit more of what I usually ask at the exam, because there is additional information that I think is useful for you, but not to be learned for the exam. And usually I tell you, look, this web page is interesting, read it, I suggest you to read it, but I'm not asking any question. Or I may tell you, this web page is very easy, please read it, I may ask this and this question. Usually I am very clear about the questions that I ask at the exam. So if you have any doubt on that, please ask me. It's not a stupid question if you ask me, should I learn this by memory? Should I learn this for the exam? Because it's a different story to get prepared for the exam and to get prepared for your professional life. You know this better than me. So I just want to make the exam, and it's a necessary step, but I want to make it productive. Okay? So I will be very clear, and if I'm not, just ask questions. In the web pages you will find links, like here, there is a link. Mainly they are Wikipedia links, but they are also links to videos or additional information. Because, as I said, I think this is an important piece of information that is very useful for you. What to do with the links? You don't need to follow them to prepare your exam and to get educated on the subject. These are additional information. Additional means that sometimes you may be inspired by a link. Like, oh, I like this. So, when you get inspired, I suggest you to follow the link, because there is nothing that is powerful in providing education as inspiration. Nothing. So, when you feel that you are inspired, follow it. Second, as I will tell you in a moment, the links are meant to be useful information. And an additional information. If you expand your preparation, I know that you don't have time to do it, but somebody may be very motivated and expand the preparation by following the links. And it is very likely that I noticed that at the exam. It is very likely. And I think this is an essential, not really essential, but it's a requirement for getting the laude. So if your exam is very good, as I'll tell you in a minute, you make a good presentation, blah, 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 it's 30. But a good presentation and a good knowledge of what I said during the lecture is not enough for me in order to motivate a laude. The laude is motivated by exceptional inspiration, exceptional motivation, exceptional something. And the links may be a good way to to prove to me, and I tell you, if you do that, of course, if you just follow one link during the course, I don't notice that. But if you follow a few of them, I notice that, because you know, it's clear. It's clear when you speak at the exam if the student got additional information, and this is for me, as I said, a good motivation for giving aloud. But keep in mind, my first advice, inspiration. It's much more important to be inspired than to get aloud, I tell you. Okay, so you see here links to web pages, educational material. You will see also links to exercises, because during the subject I will dedicate some 8 hours to working together at the PC, solving practical problems related to water resources management, not complicated, because you know, I would like to make 3-4 exercises in 2 hours. We don't have the time to develop a design project. So this is not my aim, but my aim is to work with you at the PC, because I want to provide you with programming skills, additional programming skills, because I think you have also already some knowledge on programming. I think it is extremely important. Keep in mind, any skill that you get and you put in your CV is important for your professional career after your degree. But in particular, today, I think students tend to underestimate the importance of being very skilled with the PC. The PC is not easy to use. Everybody uses it, everybody goes on the web, but going on the web using a PC is not easy at all. And as I said, everybody uses it, only a very few people use the PC efficiently or the web efficiently. You have to learn to use the PC efficiently, because you know, when you perform a task, it may take to you very easily 8 hours or 1 hour. I tell you, I see these differences, 1 order of magnitude. And it all depends on how efficient you are on that machine, because you use that machine every day in the profession. It's impossible to make any task, any professional task, without a PC or without a computer, a machine, and using it efficiently is extremely important. So I will spend some time to tell you how to use the PC efficiently. This is not an IT course, it's not a course on information technology, it's not a course on numerical programming, but still, I think I can give you some information, helping you to get some inspiration to better know how to work with the PC. So we will do some exercises with a software that is called R. Raise your hand. Do you know about R? Yeah, you. Just you. Okay, good. No, good, because you know, if it's half and half, it's a bit of a problem for me. If it's just you, okay, you will be patient. No problem at the beginning. So R. What is R? It's a software that allows you to make computations and to make programs. It's very similar to the other softwares that you are used to deal with in your everyday life, like Excel. Everybody uses Excel here, or no? Okay, I assume that everybody knows Excel. And because, you know, some years ago I started with Excel, because not everybody knew how to use Excel, like 5-6 years ago, not a long time ago. Okay, so it's not very different, R. R is very similar to MATLAB. Raise your hand if you used MATLAB before. Okay, 3. Okay, good. And the main difference between a software like R and Excel is that Excel is pre-prepared. I use a term that is non-technical. It's user-friendly. This is a technical term. It means that Excel is already prepared to make your life easier, but the fact that it's prepared makes it less efficient. It's like, you know, when you have something pre-prepared, you have less flexibility, less room for creativity, it's clear. And flexibility means more efficiency. If you are a good, flexible person, you are more efficient with respect to using something that is pre-prepared and rigid. Excel doesn't give you much room to do tasks that are not pre-prepared. Of course, Excel is very good, and to make an efficient use of your time, I tell you, 90% of my computations are on Excel, because it's pre-prepared for 90% of the tasks. And if it is pre-prepared, it's easier and quicker. But there are about 10% of my tasks for which Excel is not pre-prepared. And then I should personalize it. It takes a long time, and it's not efficient. Then I prefer to use a program like R or MATLAB because they are less user-friendly, they are more difficult to use, but they are more flexible. And a final consideration, writing a program is nothing else than recording a series of instructions on the PC. So sometimes we hear about a programming, and we think, oh, it must be very difficult, very complicated. No, it's not. It's very easy. It's just recording some instructions which allow you basically to repeat the task very quickly. And we will prove that. We will do exercises. For the first time it will take 2 hours, and then to repeat it, it will take 1 second. So this is extremely important because sometimes the work of the engineer is very repetitive. And when I identify something that I need to repeat, then I don't use Excel, I write a program in R. Because, as I said, it's more efficient. And you have to get this capability of understanding what is a program and writing a program. So this is why I'm doing these exercises. And you have to get this capability because it's very easy. You will see that in 8 hours we will get most of what we need to know. Please. I just wanted to wait for you before making an introduction of the audience. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you will find here the links to the exercises. Okay, and now they are not completed. There is only a short introduction to R. You don't need it for now. I'll tell you how to work on the PC, and the way I prefer is to invite you 1 week in advance to bring your laptop with you. I see that everybody usually today is able to bring a laptop. Even an old laptop, we don't need a very good one, or better if it's older, because you know, it's less dangerous, less risky. You can decide to work in 2 people on the same PC, this would be fine. And if you have any problem with this, just let me know, because I can bring a laptop for you. I have an old laptop in my office that I can bring to my lectures when you need it, and would be perfectly fine. Or we can find other solutions. I prefer to ask you to bring your own PC for 2 reasons. First, booking a lab is difficult. And you know, I know that you are busy, so finding a time for you to get into the lab is not easy. First problem. Second problem, it's much better, you learn more if you use your own machine, because then you go back home and you use the same machine. It's much easier. So I prefer to do in this way. And I think that today is Thursday. I think I'll ask you to bring the PC not next week, but the week, I would say on Thursday, in 2 weeks from now. Okay, but I give you confirmation next week. Now, as I said, we use R. R, you find it because it's useful for us if you get R installed on your PC. R is open source. I told you that I am sympathetic with open access information and programs, and for this reason I don't use MATLAB. R is very similar to MATLAB. If you can use MATLAB, you can use R. There are differences, but they are very easy to learn how to adapt. And MATLAB is free for you students, but once that you got your degree and you leave the university, it's not free anymore. So I prefer to give you a tool, maybe an additional tool that is open source. And you know, the capabilities are more or less the same. How to install it? Given that it's open source, of course it's free. And you have to go on this website, www.r project. sorry, with the minus sign, not the underscore. .org. Now let's go together on this website because it's very easy, but you know, all the open source information comes with some downsides, and usually it's less user-friendly than the commercial tools for obvious reasons. Okay, but it has many advantages. So www.rproject.org. Here we are. So you are not interested in the documents, in documentation, because you have already a link on my website to get the manual. And if you are tempted by reading some additional information on R, just select short documents. You don't need a 400 pages manual. Okay, absolutely you don't need it. But if you are interested and motivated and you find that my tutorial is old or maybe not enough, just select in this section, documentation, the short ones, okay? Now, to install it, download, of course, and download, you click on CRAN, which is a public repository, and then you have to be patient, especially when you are connected in the UNI. Just 1 second. And then you will find a page that asks for the mirror of your preference, because this public repository is mirrored in several countries. And okay, just 1 second. I want to make sure that still working. Okay, I tell you, but it's very easy indeed, but I anticipate you one information. As we move forward with the clicks, we will get to a page that asks for the operating system, Windows, Mac, or Linux. And so I want to talk a little bit about what is an operating system and how to select it. It's hopeless. I have also some screen problems, which I let me check if it is able to reload this page. No, not. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's postpone it. Let's postpone it. As I said, you will get to let me try to reconnect to the web. Okay, let me see. seems that there is a problem with the website, not with yeah, this works. Okay, anyway, we will try later. Yesterday it worked, and maybe today there is a problem, because I tried with my personal hotspot and it doesn't work. Okay, so as I said, what I wanted to say, it's very easy to follow. You click on download, and then you get to a page where it asks for a mirror, and just make the selection that you prefer. Usually when I have to download from repositories, I select the mirror that is closest, so there are mirrors in Austria and Italy, and that's fine. And then you will find a page that gives you several options to download. You have to download the base program. It's called base. Just take a note if you, because this is not explained in my web page, the base program of R. And as I said, it asks for your operating system. And there are three alternatives, as you may know, the most used: Windows, Mac, and the Linux. I want to deliver to you this message. Usually, 99% of my students use either Windows, 80%, or Mac, 19%. 1% of the students, more or less, tried Linux before. Now, there is a distinguished feature that is shared by Mac and Linux. Mac and Linux are very similar. The difference is that Linux is open source, Mac not. But Mac was based on Linux. So, what is the distinguishing feature? They load the machine less than Windows. So it means that your battery lasts more, your hard disk is less pressured, the motherboard is under a lower pressure, etc. So if you look for statistics, basically a computer with Mac and Linux lasts more time. Also, Windows is not conceived for lasting, to be a long-lasting tool. It's conceived for top performances, and that's it. And top performances means that it requires from the machine the top performances. So the machine is under pressure. And it requires a very brand new PC. The average duration of a Windows operating system is about a couple of years. Linux, you know, I used it for like 10 years without any need of changing the machine, changing whatever. And also Linux is more flexible. I usually say that whatever you want to do with a PC, with a Linux operating system, you can do it, if you have the skills, of course. And it's a little bit less user-friendly. So my advice for you is, again, to try to get wide skills. You have to learn how to use Windows, because there are some tasks for which Windows is the best. But I suggest you to use also to learn how to use Linux. It's free, so if you have an old PC, just put it on and try to use it. And this is something I really encourage you to do, because if you don't do these trials when you are students, you don't have time anymore for getting these experiences later. Okay, so one more thing. I go back to the question of the tutorials. One more thing. Here you can find also the videos of my lecture. And the videos, let me see, where is the link? Here. Videos of the lecture, it was just below. So, what is the reason why I decided to make videos available? I was convinced that it's useful, and indeed it is, based on the statistics of downloads that I have. They are available on YouTube. They are not edited at all. What I do is simply, when I finish my lecture, I take the card from the camera, I put it in my PC, and I upload them. So it's not edited. So it's not professional. It's not a video that substitutes the attendance to the lectures. There are very few students that told me that they took the time to re-see the lectures. It takes 48 hours, so I don't suggest you to do that. And indeed, most of the students, the great majority, told me that they use the videos for catching up, for like you miss a lecture or something that you didn't understand and you want to see it back or whatever. I personally use my videos to check whether I dealt with a particular topic or not, because I easily forget, because I'm teaching 2 courses. I check also my videos because sometimes I realize that I was probably mistaken, so I check what I said, and if I notice that I was mistaken, I correct the next lecture, etc. So I think they are useful, and anyway, if you don't find them useful, you can just forget about them. And so if you click here on the playlist, you will go to my YouTube page, and the playlist is empty, of course. Usually I upload the videos after about a couple of days. And you will find the list that is ordered in a chronological order by date, and each lecture is split in about 2-3 videos, and the length of each video is about 40 minutes, so it's relatively easy to navigate through them. And there are no advertisements. I use YouTube because I find it very efficient. In my opinion, YouTube is close to perfect, close to be perfect. Okay, so that's it. And another thing to say: everything you need you find at this page. But as you know, Unibo has an official repository that is based on the use of Moodle, another open source software that is conceived for providing tutorial materials to the students. Moodle would be able to do the same thing that my website does. I could upload these web pages on Moodle, whatever. The only problem, and this is why I decided to go with a personal website, is that it's not open source. So you have the advantage, I have the advantage that I can upload also copyrighted material, because it's not open. Moodle is visible only to students. So I could upload copyrighted material, as I said. In my web pages I cannot. Everything here is free. You are free to reuse it. But it's also open. Moodle is not. So I decided to use Moodle anyway. But in Moodle you find, and we will see it, just links to these web pages. So in principle you don't need to go to it, but for a couple of features that I think are a good motivation for using also Moodle. Let's see what are these features. So Moodle platform at this page, okay. Now you have to go in with your student credentials. Okay, perfect. Just 1 second. Let's see if I remember my password. Okay. Now, it's, you know, with this resolution it's not very visible anyway. You are directly on the page of sustainable design. Let me make it a bit smaller, because otherwise. Okay, same picture. And you see links. If you click on guidelines for a successful learning and exam, you get to this page where there is the link to the same web page that I used before. So you may say, so I don't need to use it, but actually there are a couple of things that I wanted to tell you. First, we have a form here, and it's very useful. So In principle, this course should be already accessible to you because accessibility is regulated by the study plan. So if you have the course in your study plan, you should have accessibility. You should see the course on your Moodle page. The web address of it's IOL, so iol.unibo.it. There is the link on my website, but if you want to get into it, just iol.unibo.it, and you enter with your student credentials, as I said, and you should be able to see the course Sustainable Design. If you don't see it, there is something that is not working, just let me know. Send an email, I can subscribe you manually, but if you don't see it, you have to be a bit concerned because based on your study plan, you should see it. Now, the forum, this is very useful because basically you can write on the forum, I can write on the forum. It's in Italian here, I think there is a way to switch it in English. And if you click on news, you can add a new topic. And usually I use it for giving you communications, like I need to postpone the exam, I need to change the room of the lectures. I am late because I am a commuter and therefore, you know, sometimes it may happen that I am late, etc. And also for letting you know about field trips. We will have a field trip during the course on May 16. And so it's very useful. This is one feature that is available only here. So please have access to IOL, because if you don't get into it, and if you don't get at least once into the page of my course, you may not receive the emails related to the announcement. Because when I post on the forum, you are supposed to get an email on your institutional web address, institutional email address, studio.unibo.it. If you don't get into the page of my course, they told me,